defense, when I watch that game, Trent, you pick off Tom Brady 3 times in the second half and you're at home. Boy, those are opportunities. And on 2 of those drives, they were 3 and out. They didn't do anything. And so, listen, I don't have to love Matt LaFleur's play call. I get it. I don't have to love it. Let's start with that. The play call, Matt LaFleur, you coach. Did it bother you? Could you analytically defend it? Where did you go with that play call?
Which play call are we referring to?
That's the one that Matt LaFleur late says 2 minutes, 9 seconds. I'm going to kick a field goal.
Got it.
Yeah.
I thought that was terrible. I mean, I think you give your quarterback another opportunity. You're down there. You're going to have to, score a touchdown regardless. So I thought that they should have gone for it. You can go back to the third down play, though. We don't even have this discussion if Aaron Rodgers just runs. I mean, everybody's talking about kicking the field goal on 4th down. On 3rd down, he had a clean jog in for a touchdown if he escapes right instead of throwing it across his body. So that's when he watches film, he's going to have a sick feeling in his stomach. I thought overall they were too dependent on the pass going into this game. The thing that they needed to do to have their way with Tampa's defense was establish the run, be stubborn with the run, and really play action pass off of it. They immediately jumped into shotgun, 3-4 wide receiver sets, the old spread football that they did with McCarthy. And Tampa had a plan for it. Todd Bowles and Tampa's defense had an incredible plan. They were playing a double bracket, very close to the line of scrimmage, trading crossers off. Kind of had a really good plan for that spread pass game. What you can't do is if you condense sets, if you put extra tight ends in the game, if you're running the rock, you can't play that scheme. So Tampa kind of dictated terms defensively, and Green Bay accepted that instead of trying to dictate terms offensively.
It's interesting, the psychology, Trent, and you would know this and I wouldn't. But Mahomes, there's a looseness when he trails. It's almost like he's like, oh, now I get to use all the plays because we need them. I thought Aaron, sometimes in Green Bay, he can get a little tight. His body language changes when he trails. Now, like Brady, to me, is always the same. I could never tell if Tom leads or trails. Tom's he's been in so many of these darn games, he just plays. But I do think there's something there's a joyfulness with Mahomes, and maybe it's naivete that he doesn't care leading. And I do think sometimes Aaron, maybe he's a smart guy, he overthinks it. I mean, you tell me, when you were leading, when you were trailing, can that get in your head?
Yeah, and I don't like ever using myself when we're talking about Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. It's not apples for apples. But I agree with you on Mahomes. I think if any young quarterback, any coach that has influence over the quarterback wants to see a demeanor, wants to find a demeanor that they want their quarterback to play with, it'd be Mahomes. There is a joyfulness to his play. There is he's relaxed. He's having fun.
Yeah.
Although he's very disciplined, although he's obviously a craftsman and a true pro, he still finds the joy in the competition, the joy in the challenge. He's not overwhelmed by it. He never seems burdened. There's times when some of these gray hairs just seem burdened by the responsibility. Their body language shows it. Their smirks to the sideline show it. Mahomes down 9-0. He's over there having fun with the offensive line and the skill guys saying, this is what we're built for. There's definitely a demeanor that Mahomes plays with that every young quarterback should look at. I think Josh Allen plays with the same demeanors. A lot of these young guys do. I think they're just really having a great time playing football in the NFL, and the challenge isn't too big for them.
So I said this Super Bowl has a feel before the game, a little bit of the 2008 Super Bowl. So Kansas City is the Patriots, Moss, Welker, good defense, favored. I mean, literally knocking people out. Tampa Bay's got a little New York Giants feel. Eli and Brady, not real athletic, very, very disruptive defensive front, little bit more of a turbulent season. I do wonder, Trent, you got 2 good offensive linemen for the Chiefs out. They're 2 best. And this defensive front, JPP, Shaq Barrett, Vita Vea, could you see the Buccaneers defensive front at least controlling parts of this game against Kansas City?
Absolutely, I could see that. I could see them making Mahomes have to be Superman instead of 6 to 8 times a game, 15 to 25 in this game. I think the Chiefs have a real challenge to stay balanced because of those reasons. The Fisher loss is huge. Unfortunate, too, a great pro and a great player. But, I mean, there's a lot of things schematically and matchup-wise that favor the Bucs. Todd Bowles being one of them. Todd Bowles, the defensive coordinator for the Bucs, has always been one of the great coordinators in this league, and you give him 2 weeks to prepare. and you have that advantage in the front line with Pierre-Paul and Sue and Barrett. Yeah, I can see a lot of creativity coming from Tampa's defense to create a lot of disruption. I think Kansas City's going to have to put Tyreek Hill on the perimeter outside to take advantage of that press coverage, win those one-on-one matchups and breathe some air into Tampa's defense. Because when Tampa's not scared of the perimeter, the furthest outside receiver guys, they will bump and run them, and they will put the other 9 in a box inside for the run and pass game. And Bowles is as good as anybody in football at creating those schemes. When he only has to rush 4, it's even more dangerous. So I can see a lot of reasons why Tampa going into this game has some advantages, their defense.
You know the football culture. You got to sell to your players once a week. This game is everything. The NBA's never been the same. If you go to the YMCA, you can tell the best team. You know who's going to win those teams. So the NBA, we've got dynasties. Golden State, when they had Durant, Steph, Clay, they were 500 after the All-Star break the second year. Then they swept in the finals. That's not the NFL culture. But I said Kansas City's a little bit of that, where first 8 weeks, 5 blowouts, lose to the Raiders, destroy Buffalo, destroy the Jets, and then all of a sudden you watch the last 6 or 7 weeks, and it's like, Trent, they kind of buried some of the playbook. They punted 10 times in their last 2 weeks. They punted once the entire playoffs. I've never used flipped a switch for football. I've never even thought about it. But I watched them dismantle Buffalo. And I think to myself, are they hiding stuff? Are they burying the playbook? Like, what am I watching? What are you watching?
I think there might be some of that. I think what happened with Kansas City, and I think I've said this a few times on this show, their floor is just so high. Like, they don't have to play their best football to still beat people, which is scary. I think when that happens and you're that good, because they know they're that good, I think a little complacency might have set in. And then they were able in game to flip the switch, which I haven't seen a lot of in the NFL. And I think Andy did a great job pointing that out, making sure they understood when they got in the playoffs, they can't lollygag around for 9, 10, 12 minutes in a game and then flip the switch. So there's probably, taking care of that complacency and making their heightened awareness for the playoffs is probably what you're seeing. The Chiefs are remarkable in this way. They can do things that are unconventional, that can look as if it's a little sloppy, maybe unsound, and still be dominant. They have more horsepower than any offense I've seen, probably going back to the Greatest Show on Turf with Kurt Warner and that group, or maybe the Randy Moss year in New England. I mean, the amount of horsepower they have on this offense is one of 5 in the history of football. So I think they know that. So at times they don't execute at the highest levels, but when they're dialed in and they're execution driven and precision driven, it's scary. I mean, I don't have the vocabulary to explain it.
So you've been dealing with quarterbacks forever, and I was defending Brady today. I said, Aaron Rodgers didn't get drafted by a major league team in high school. Aaron Rodgers had to go to a junior college. Brady got drafted by a baseball team. He went to Michigan. His body never gets hurt. He's had one injury. Like, he's got a pro athlete's body. Like, you don't play at 6'4.5", 225 for 22 years and have one injury. And I watched him throw yesterday. Trent, I think Brady's arm is good. I don't even think, not for an old guy. I think he still makes elite throws. Good.
I think it's great. It's the piercing throws. So anything that he can step into and throw within 30 yards, it's fantastic. Zero flaws in it. I think the only areas he's gotten older, and he's never been great at this, but as he's gotten older is the off-platform stuff. When he's forced to move from his platform, when his feet aren't right, that's when you see some minor flaws. They're not big deals, but they're minor flaws. The second interception when he's getting blitzed and he kind of jumps in the air and tries to throw it to Evans down the right side. That shows that he still needs his base to make big, powerful throws. Yeah. Physically, he's amazing. We talked about this before. Emotionally, the moral authority that he brings to a team is unquantifiable. I think we talked about this in October. This was going to take time. But they lost those back-to-back games and they got into the bye week. And that's one more week where Tom's voice could be heard at a louder level, could be amplified a little bit more. And then they had other moral authority leaders in the locker room like Sue, like Pierre-Paul, other veterans that could help him amplify his message. And if you just go back and do a statistical analysis of the boring stuff, field position, turnover margin, time of possession, takeaways, all the things that matter for a football team, this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team is phenomenal. And I give a lot, and Bruce Arians gave a lot of credit. Tom Brady said it only took one man. And truly in this scenario, you go post-bye week, and I can't imagine what was said in that locker room that week, but everybody listened. His voice was amplified. He backed it up on the field, and they're the hottest team in football. You know,
it's funny. One of the things, when I watch a football game, I'll take notes because I don't want to forget stuff. And one of the notes I wrote down in the first half, and I wrote it down for the final play, I thought Tampa's play design was pretty darn clever. Now, we know Andy Reid does this. But even that final sweep of the game, I've watched every snap for Tampa for the last month, and that final sweep to Godwin when he came in motion, and Green Bay is all jammed on the line thinking there's going to be a short run. Maybe play design is overrated, but I will tell you, when I watched Tampa yesterday, I'm like, I'm not sure it's Tom, I'm not sure it's Bruce, I'm not sure it's Leftwich. I thought they were clever. Who gets credit for that?
Well, two things. Play design is not overrated. Don't buy into that. That's probably a bad coach that doesn't have the creativity that's texting you on the side saying, oh, we all call the same plays. Not true. There's a definite discrepancy in the sophistication of some play callers over others. Formations go into that. But the secret sauce is when you call those plays. And I think you're talking about Bruce Arians, one of the great play callers of all time, who's now trained Byron Leftwich. Both